Here.
Justice Martin,
Here.
Archie McKee,
Here.
David Yando.
Here.
We also have Marcy Gottsmer, Maria Bourgeois, and Jeremy Evans present.
Good.
Great. All right. Well, we thank you all for your flexibility and change of a meeting date. Okay, we'll work with budgets, but they're not always easy to pull together. But hopefully we're set for today. I guess there's no public comments. We will entertain a motion to approve the minutes from September 8th, 2020.
This is Rod. I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Got Rod.
Second.
Seconded by Dave. Too soon to do the roll call vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, those are communications.
No.
Committee reports. Treasurer's report for the IDA.
I've been looking at the financials for all the agencies as compared to both the current year budget and the proposed budget. And I think a good thing yet frustrating thing is that unanticipated revenues and expenses come in any given year. We don't plan for with the IDA, we don't put in that we expect X number of dollars in revenue from a pilot project because it's completely out of our hands, and I feel like we shouldn't do that. Or selling a property for that matter. So, just things come and go. So the revenues look higher for the IDA than we anticipated, but we budgeted conservatively, and expenses are in some categories higher, more than they should be. In many of those cases, there were unanticipated things. They're not huge numbers. For example, we had never budgeted. I'm looking at the profit and loss budget versus actual financial report. We had not budgeted for the electricity at the carry. And so, supplies and materials, internet and phone are a little bit higher than what we budgeted. But overall, our expenditures are in a pretty good place for being in October, being at 69% of budget. So, and luckily, I think in every year that we've been improving how we look at our budgets, we've been under budget when you look at the end of year expenses. So I think that's the right place to be. Good morning, Sherry.
Hi, Sherry.
So that's my treasurer's report.
Okay. Any questions for the treasurer's report? Any motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it. Rod Lozon.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed?
Aye.
I should have mentioned with committee reports that we're getting to the time of the year that we're going to have to start some of the evaluations and some of that kind of thing. So stay tuned. Do you have anything you want to say to that? So just stay tuned with that. Okay, full unfinished business.
No.
Steve, I don't know what you're fooling with, but you still don't have any hair.
Still don't have any what? Hair. Steve?
I can't explain it, Archie.
I'll have an answer by next meeting.
Okay.
I'm calm. Oh, my God.
All right, where were we?
Old business?
That's really, really old business.
Where's your sense of humor been, Archie, all this time?
With the bleak weather, we need that sense of humor, so I appreciate that.
That's good. That's what he's drinking. All right.
I want some.
All right, very good. So let's go into the fun part, new business. And we'll look at our budget.
New business for the IDA is pretty simple, and that is the budget. I mean, I guess it's not simple, but it's one item. I wanted to try to keep the agenda simple today. So for those of you who are on the not here in person, I hope you're able to have the IDA budget, proposed budget in front of you. There's 3 different parts to this, and we can certainly have as much discussion on any part that you want. But the first part, and I can bring it up just so you can see what it looks like. Well, the first part is 2 pages, and it has the major line items, and then 2 columns, 2020 and 2021. And that's kind of a summary budget. The next part is 1 page. Well, no, it's 2 pages also, and it has a bunch of columns for different years. So it has 2019 as the actual, and it has projections out to 2024. These projections are required for our submission to the comptroller's office when we put the budget into that into their system. And I just want to thank Maria for helping a lot with this one, because it requires pulling together last year's numbers, estimating this year, and then we have to project out. And then the third part are all of the backup pages. So the details for each budget category. So if we go back to the summary budget, I guess what I thought I could do.
What page are we on?
Back to the first page.
Oh, good, that's where I am.
Yeah.
Is this the right one?
No, that must be LDC.
Oh, I'm looking at it going, this doesn't look right. Excuse me. Hello.
So I just thought what we could do is I could just mention a couple highlights on substantive changes, and then open it up for any discussion or questions anybody might have. So if you look at the first line item, it says 4110 charges for services. And also look at 4250 public authority subsidies. You'll see that for public authority subsidies, we had budgeted $100,000 in a grant from the LDC. And we did that last year. We've been doing that every year at some amount or the other. What I'm proposing is that we put the subsidy or the grant at $50,000 and actually charge the LDC $50,000 for services that we render from the IDA to the LDC, primarily Maria's time and my time. Because as the LDC has grown in its activities and complexities, the time that we put into it has increased. And an IDA cannot be providing grants to, or basically subsidies to other agencies. And so we need to be charging the LDC, not for what we do. And so between the 5 hours a week that is already dedicated in our time for the LDC, I propose that we also charge the LDC $50,000 for our time. So that's a kind of, it's no change in the amount, but it's just how it's done. And if the board approves that, then what we would do in November is have an actual contract for review and approval between the two agencies next month. Let's see. New York State Retirement System contribution estimate is down for the coming year. So, that's something that fluctuates. And some years it's more, some years it's less. In the years that it's less, you take it and don't complain. And then I think the only other thing that I would mention about the IDA budget is that a couple of things that are happening on the revenue side. Number one is we don't have any more incoming Jericho Rise payments. We just received the last one. So that was a 5-year payment, 5 years of payments. We just received the last one. And so we don't have that as a revenue source coming anymore, which is concerning. On the flip side, there are several projects, renewable energy projects that are out that we know of that are under either consideration or not consideration, that the companies are working on, and they've contacted me regarding incentive applications, and that's a principal revenue source for any IDA, our application fees from potential projects. And so we have several that are out there that we know of. We have no applications, and some will end up applying, some won't ever happen, just the nature of them. And we've not budgeted for those because I just don't feel like budgeting for something that's so unknown is a good way, especially when we're supposed to be reviewing and improving applications based on the merit of the application and not whether or not it brings in good revenue to the IDA. So that's something that we need to be paying attention to and watching our revenues from the IDA. We're certainly in fine shape for 2021 as far as our cash on hand, but to the extent that we can find ways to limit expenditures to the IDA, we will make sure to be doing that and finding other ways to earn money.
So the last payment for Jericho Rise, was that for 2021?
Well, it just came this month or last month.
It just came a couple weeks ago, $312,000. That is the 5th and final payment installment for their service fee for doing the pilot agreement.
Okay.
It was broken into a 5-year thing.
So it just comes in as cash, and we just have it, and we
didn't know the 5 years was already.
It's going quick. Time flies. Yep. So I think those are the highlights for the IDA budget, and if you have any questions, now would be a good time for questions or anything.
Oh, I have a question. Sorry. you didn't project any, I see your contingency for 2021 on salaries, is that in case someone gets an increase? Because you didn't
Yeah,
project
right,
anything.
exactly. So what I did with both LDC and IDA, since we've not had those discussions as a board, is I simply put a placeholder in.
Okay.
So that it'd be more accurate.
Right, that's what I assumed, but I just want
Yep.
double check.
Any other questions? Well, I entertain a motion to approve the 2021 budget.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2021 budget. Rod Lozon.
David seconded it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Right?
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Thank you, Maria and Jeremy, for all your work on that. Any public comments? Anything else, Friday? So our date of next meeting is November 18th.
Do we need to discuss that? Because that's a Wednesday, and we just found out Thursdays don't work, so does that need to be brought into discussion?
Oh, because it was changed to Thursday,
Right,
which
and then
doesn't really work for me at
this
all.
wasn't available anyway on Thursdays because the legislature meets.
What is the regular date?
The regular date is Wednesday, November 18th.
Is that a holiday week? I may be off.
I think Thanksgiving is the next week.
Okay,
Would,
Veterans Day is
would-
the week before I'm off.
yes.
Yes, that's
Would-
why we've been
Would
having
Tuesday,
Veterans
would
Day.
Tuesday the 17th work?
Are Wednesdays bad for you?
Well, Wednesdays, I had asked previously because Wednesdays, because of school schedules, I have all of my children in.
Oh,
And Justice felt, and I agree, that it's important for me to try to be in person for a meeting. And I can certainly do it from home. I have no problem doing it from home, but that was.
so otherwise you don't normally have daycare or anything? Like say they were in school Monday through Friday, what do you do? And there's a snow day. One of you stay home, I
Right,
take it?
right.
Oh, I didn't have that luxury, I had to bring them
Yeah,
anyway. Daycare,
yeah.
I mean,
Boy, and I tell you, I mean, if they were all like 3 or 5 years younger, man, I can't imagine what parents are going through right now with school schedules.
oh, it's nuts, my daughter
Yeah.
struggles.
So Tuesday the 17th at 10?
Hi, this is Archie. Wednesdays really don't work for me either. We have a regularly scheduled village work session on Wednesdays at 9 o'clock.
Okay, so do we want to entertain the 17th?
Steve, and Rod, how does Tuesday, the 17th of November look for you guys?
I think Tuesday works for me.
Rod?
So far. I'm good at Tuesday.
Yeah.
I know what that's like. Yeah. Trying to figure out next week, let alone.
Exactly, a month away.
All right,
You good, Dave? You've been awfully quiet.
so
You've been awfully quiet.
So I guess we'll go with, we don't hear any objections with Tuesday the 17th, so let's go with that.
Thanks.
All right, entertaining motion to adjourn. The IDA meeting.
So move, Steve.
All set.
Steve and Sherry?
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Aye.
Okay, we'll go to the Franklin County LDC meeting. The roll call is before.
Is Russ and, are they on?
Marcy.
Marcy?
Marcy got the meeting started, Russ is not on.
Oh,
Okay, so roll call, Sherry Boye,
present.
Jim Ellis is not present. Steve Ehrman,
Present.
Rod Lozon,
Present.
Justice Martin,
Present.
Archie McKee,
Present.
David Yando,
Present.
also present Maria Bourgeois, Jeremy Evans, Marcy Gotzman.
Thank you, Maria. So we'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from September 8th and September 29th.
I make a motion to approve the minutes, Rod Lozon.
Second.
Archie,
Seconded
second.
by Archie. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, those communications, committee reports, treasurer's report.
So treasurer's report, I'll call your attention to the budget versus actual sheet. And again, we have revenues and expenses this year that were not anticipated when we put our budget together 1 year ago. The biggest one, of course, would be tourism. We had not planned for that in our budget, and we've had expenses and revenues associated with tourism. And the biggest expense for tourism thus far, although it will not always be the case, but for this year is salaries. So you'll see a pretty big increase in salaries, wages, employee benefits for the LDC over what was originally budgeted. We've received occupancy tax revenue from the county, and we will be receiving more of it. There's always a lag with occupancy tax because it's collected by the lodging property, and then there's a payment window at the end of the quarter, and then there's time it takes for the county to process that and issue payments. And so that's just a cash flow thing. And so there's revenues that have not shown up here yet that we are expecting. Legal fees have been higher this year than we budgeted, and so you'll see I increased the budget for legal fees in our proposed budget, but I don't think the fees will be as high next year as they were this year. They've been high in IDA and LDC. There's several different projects that require that. We have a lot of agreements that Matt has been looking at. We have different projects that he's been involved in, some of which we will be recouped on. We just haven't gotten there yet. So that's one that stuck out to me, which I guess shouldn't be surprising. And we need to adjust for it for next year because of just some of the things we're doing these days require his services. But I don't think it's going to be as high next year as it has been this year.
And then there's the consulting services.
Consulting services. Other consulting services.
Yeah.
What? Oh, okay. That would have included.
And then you put it up to in the next year's, like in 173, 77. Is that for the grants? You know what I'm saying? For us overseeing the grants.
Right.
And,
So
okay.
I just want to get you an answer on this. Yeah. So Main Street expenses was an other consulting service, and that's things like for the Main Street grant in Saranac Lake and Tupper Lake, we pay for an environmental consultant to do an environmental review. We have a work scope created. They do a lead-based paint assessment in some cases, and those expenses end up coming back. We get reimbursed on it.
Right, so that's what I figured.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a lag thing.
So is that why the consecutive years are increasing because of our consulting services? And then
Uh,
it'll show in the revenue section.
It's supposed to show in the revenue section. It's just hard to see, and we haven't had those revenues come in yet because we haven't submitted for reimbursement yet, right? And then to your point, well, let me just mark that on the budget. So when we get to the budget discussion, I'll explain a couple of those things. Okay. So that's all I have for the treasurer's report.
Oh, sorry, popped over.
That's okay. That's
I was thinking.
it's
You brought it up.
yeah, it's the same.
So, as far as with Carpe and Secday, has there been any communication with them?
No, not since their last payment, which was over a month ago. I haven't. I'll make a note to reach out.
Yeah, because really the whole thing is due, because hasn't it been 6 months?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it'd be good to know, what kind of, I don't know, 3,500, but still.
Yep.
And, any update on anything as far as the hub goes,
Nothing to report. That's just in the legal process of the purchase. Or non-purchase, mortgage assumption.
Okay, so, entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I'll leave.
Steve. Oh,
I make a
Sherry?
motion to approve the treasurer's report, Rod Lozon.
Sherry was first.
Sherry, Ron.
Pick one.
Yeah, pick one.
Rod's on a delay.
Yeah.
He's on the way in. Wherever. All right, so we have a first and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Any more little business? Wait for you, Archie. Okay, not new business. New business, we have the 2021 budget presentation.
Okay, so this is the same setup. The formatting is a little bit different just because of, I'm not sure why, but it's the same 3 parts. The summary, the one that has all of the actuals and projections, and then all of the backup pages for each that show the detail for each line item. But if we go to the summary, I can point out several items of note, and then again we can have a discussion about any of it that you would like. So the first you will notice is 4110, which is charges for services. This is a revenue, and this is related to tourism contract. So I budgeted. Let me just make sure I get the number exactly right. So the largest is for what I budgeted for tourism contract was $474,300, and that's trying to guess. We can't guess what occupancy tax revenues are going to be for 2021, but in discussion with Donna Kassane, we thought that number was a good sound number to use based on what we're seeing for this year. And that's the number that the county is using for budgeting purposes. So that's the biggest increase on charges of services. The other relatively large charge for service is our other contract with Franklin County for economic development at $77,700.
Jeremy, can I just ask, interrupt, I'm sorry, that this is the document dated 10/15, the PDF or the,
Yes.
okay,
It's just
for the LDC budget? Okay.
LDC, yep. we're
With the
looking at
green and the orange.
Yep, and we're looking at page 4 right now. If you look at the bottom, it says page 4 of 19.
Okay. Good, thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Go on
Okay,
that.
there's a lot of pages.
Yes, sir.
I stapled.
Okay, got it.
So the other, the other thing about the LDC is that we've been aggressive in securing grants, and some of those revenue that shows up as revenue under 4220, and some of those have not been realized yet, and so we expect to actually see the revenue coming in 2021. And that's shown on line 4220. And so the biggest change in revenue is the tourism contract. So then if we go into operating expenditures, again, like I mentioned in the tourism, or in the treasurer's report, this year we are accounting for the 2 regional destination manager positions we have, Kelly and Phil. So that's obviously an increase in expenditures, and there's a commensurate increase in employee benefits. Under professional services, I propose we increase the legal services to 15,000 over 10,000. Again, I'm hoping that we don't have as many things going on next year as this year. There's a lot of new agreements and programs that we're getting in place, and we're trying to make sure we've got them all in place. And once they're in place, we won't need to go back to that for them. For example, I was just working on one last night, which is commercial rent assistance agreement that we need to execute with 4 businesses in Saranac Lake that received commercial rent assistance grants through the Energized Downtown Fund. And so, you've got to have an agreement with them for how that has our obligations and their obligations. We were able to get one from Watertown, so 95% of it was already written for us, but we still, and then I made some changes to it to adapt it to our program, but I still sent it to Matt, and it's a good thing I did because there's a couple things, nuances that I had missed and that needed to be in there that the version we got from Watertown didn't have, just because of our situation. So that's just that, once he did that, he's done with it, but we've had a lot of those types of things in this calendar year. So other consulting services that Sharon was just asking about that one. So you can, let me see what page it is. We can go to our detail page. Page 15 of 19, you can see the breakdown for each professional service line. And so we've got several sub-line items. We have one for marketing, and that's primarily the end of the remaining obligations from our DCI contract, plus, and we don't have any plan for it, but a budget for if there's other activities later on next year that we want to take. Architectural and engineering for the carry. That's one that we put in the budget last year. We didn't use it. We're not going to use it. I'm not quite sure we'll use it next year either, but it's a grant we've got. But I put it in as an expenditure as we try to figure out what our future is with the carry. Downtown loan revitalization strategy, that's the one we're just about to start that you approved last week, a couple of weeks ago with Insight Architecture. That will continue into next year. You can see the service contract that I talked about with the IDA. That's actually that's a professional service the IDA is providing to the LDC. And then there's a balance in there for miscellaneous that may come up. The big one, the other big professional service expenditure is I put in tourism related expenditures there too. So we have the proposed budget for revenues coming in from tourism, and then we match that on the expenditure side. See if there's any other items of note. I think the only other thing I would mention is, again, the reduction in the grant to the IDA from 100,000 to 50,000. But there's no difference. This is on back to page 5, the summary. So line number 5261 is a reduction in the grant to the IDA, but it's no change in overall expenditure because half of that now shows up as a charge, as a professional service charge.
And the basis, just so I have it clear, the basis for the reduction, again, you probably said this before, that's the grant from the county.
No, that's the grant from the LDC.
Oh, from the okay, got it.
Typically provides a grant to the IDA for providing economic development services, but it's Maria's opinion, my opinion, and Matt McDonald's opinion that the IDA, based on the things that we're doing for the LDC, should be charging.
Got it. Okay.
So
I got it.
right, same thing. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Good enough. Thank you. I just didn't. Yeah. Okay.
The monthly rent, what was the reason for that going from 900 to 1,500?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good. That's
16.
page 16 of 19. I had proposed increasing rent for that's for the carry, because we're all of the opinion that the current space is too small.
Oh.
And so our goal is to find an interim or permanent space at some point, and it's likely going to be more expensive. So I just tried to reflect that a little bit there.
Okay.
I'll also point out, Maria's always done this, and she did a great job under the, we keep making improvements every year on this process, and I'll talk about a couple other improvements I still want to make, but just want to point out on page 7 that Russ has put together a spreadsheet now that he's maintaining that is pretty precise on showing future principal and interest payments for all of our loans over time, like over the next 10 years. He's got it in a spreadsheet, and so we have a pretty accurate, assuming everyone pays the way they're supposed to, we have a pretty accurate picture of what our interest revenue from our loans should be. And so the the estimate for 2021 is just about $50,000. And although the purpose of a nonprofit corporation like us of having a loan program is to support business growth. However, there's nothing wrong with us trying to find ways to put money out into the community, and as long as it's a safe investment, because of the interest that we can get, which is way better than in the bank, and it keeps getting worse. Like whether we put it out or keep it in the bank, like the returns keep getting less because of the state of the economy and federal interest rates. But still, it's better return to have the money helping a business and getting interest. And so that's, at least we have a good idea of what we're bringing in, but I'd like to have that number be increasing over time, because we have money to lend, and we should put it to work. And so that's obviously why we've been having Russ really put a strong focus on our loan program, making sure everything is that we have a good policy in place, getting the word out better. And I think by next month, as a small aside, next month we'll be able to report back on the consultant that he's working with that's reviewing the whole loan process. He gave me a quick update just the other day on some first thoughts and recommendations that the gentleman had, and it was pretty good. So they've got a couple more weeks of stuff to do, and so I think by our next meeting we could provide an update on that.
Good.
How are we doing with our CDs and some of our bank investments?
We're still doing those, both for IDA and LDC.
We just renewed one.
And and we have another one coming up, I think, right, Maria?
We have one for the LDC coming up in November, and what I've projected into the budget for next year is reinvesting separate amounts for each in November and doing another 9-month bid putting out there.
Good. Great.
So that's LDC. Any other questions? I just want to reiterate, we've made significant improvements to this whole process. We have more to go. One of those is my goal for next year is to give this to you in September. Have like a brief discussion in September, just to say, well, okay, here's a baseline. What goals do you have? Anything unusual that I'm seeing, that you're seeing, that we want to account for? And so it's not as much of a last minute thing. I appreciate your willingness to postpone the meeting a week to just make sure this is better. And again, I just thanks to Maria for all she does to help get this is definitely a joint effort. And I tell you the other thing it's nice to be able to know that there's all sorts of other activities going on within the agency while I'm doing this, because we have great people doing good stuff, which the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah, impressive, Jeremy.
Right. Any other questions? Comments? Entertain a motion to approve the 2021 budget for the LDC.
This is Rod Lozon. I make a motion to approve it.
Steve Erman will second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Good. Good, everybody. Thank you. Our date of next meeting is November 17, 2020.
It'll be in this room.
I will see if this room is
You'll
available.
let us know.
I'll let you know.
Entertain a motion to adjourn the LDC meeting.
Could we do a brief discussion about like plan for next year?
Sure, absolutely.
So I'm going to share my screen real quick because I forgot. I sent this to you in a little bit different format last night, but I'm going to share my screen.
I didn't see
Let's see.
it. You might
Right.
share it.
I didn't see,
I didn't
there
see
was
it.
a,
There could have been.
It didn't look like this. It was a PDF,
Oh.
but it had the
draft
same
plan
info
for
on it.
2021.
No, this is the wrong page. Sorry. There we go. Sorry. Okay. Let me move you guys out of the way. So another thing that I would like us to be working on, and so this is why I just want to take a few minutes now and at least move in the right direction, is aligning our budget discussion with what we actually want to accomplish with that budget. And I think those two things should be completely aligned. I think that's always a work in progress for any organization because you can't anticipate everything that's going to happen within an entire year. And so I felt like at least since we're talking about budget, we could spend just 5 minutes going through a draft plan or major activities for 2021, and just for the sake of doing it and bringing the two together, but knowing that in a month we could look at this in more detail and have any other maybe a little bit more substantive discussion. And there's always room for improvement. One of the things that we would be improving is my goal is that we have this kind of agreed upon this calendar year instead of into January or February. So that would be an improvement. So you've seen most of this stuff before, but I just felt like it would be a good discussion real quick to see what we think we can accomplish with the budgets that you just approved. And so the overall goals that we've identified, at least to start out, aren't any different than what we've had in the past. The first is our economic development climate and capacity. Second is entrepreneurial culture. Third is downtown and Main Street revitalization. The fourth is tourism, and then fifth is administrative capacity.
Jeremy, can I interrupt? I don't think your screen is sharing your desktop view and not the document that you're
Is
FYI.
this better?
Yes.
Yes, now expand. Yes, now expand that.
I'm doing it wrong then. I'm going to start over. I apologize. I'm going to try to share just the.
Is this the same, Jeremy, as what you sent on the 19th?
I sent it last night, yes.
Okay, so I can look on the other screen. I can look at this with the
That's better.
various goals. Okay.
There, how's that? Is that better? Sorry.
Yep.
Thanks, Marcy. Okay, so then the within each of these goals, we have different major activities that we would propose to either continue with or undertake in 2021. So again, the purpose is not to go through each of these today, but it's to just put these just so that you have it. One goal that I'd like for everyone to consider, either as a, well, could either be a goal or we do some, just start getting more involved with it with some other tasks, is related to growing our agricultural base. I mean, our two largest industries are agriculture and tourism. We've made a conscious decision to go all in on doing whatever we can to promote and grow tourism over the last year. And agriculture is certainly something I think that there's a lot going on. There's other organizations and agencies that have strong roles when it comes to agriculture, but maybe it's time for us to start doing more and figuring out those partnerships and identifying more proactive ways that we can be involved with supporting our agricultural industry in Franklin County. So I put that out there as a potential another goal, just for discussion purposes. Some of these projects under building our economic development, climate and capacity you've seen before. There's a couple new ones that, well, they're not totally new, but as I discussed, I think previously, we want to work with the county and the Solid Waste Authority to see what business opportunities exist at the landfill. We want to look at opportunities with the CSX rail line, and I should point out that as far as we're concerned going in to this research and investigation with the county and Solid Waste Authority, is I wouldn't want anyone to confuse what we look at there with the rail line. I think there might have been, maybe the way it was reported or something, a little bit of confusion. We have the CSX rail line that goes through Bombay, and our factories go right by it. There's a siding up in Fort Covington, and what we want to do is figure out better how to leverage that rail line. And we've been working with Paul Lozon and Russ, and I've been working on trying to understand that dynamic better. And we're going to be continuing looking into that, what opportunities exist. That's not the same as looking at business opportunities at the landfill. And I just want to make sure everybody understands that those are two distinct efforts we're looking at. We're not talking about any like merging of the two or construction of a rail line. That's not what we're talking about. So I just want to clarify that.
Yep. Very good.
Again, you have these in front of you. I don't want to go through it all right now, and these will be subject to refinement and addition as we as the staff go through things. I want to get thoughts from our team, and as you all look at it, please reach out with any questions or suggestions, and then I just want to kind of bring it back in November and December, so and have us all agree on it so that we start the new year with one already in place instead of waiting until January or February. So
That's great. Thank you. Okay. Entertain a motion to adjourn the LDC meeting.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting, please.
Steve will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, so we will call the Franklin County CDC meeting to order. Do you need to do the roll call again, or just the same?
I can if you want.
I mean, we have the same as.
Okay, Sherry Boye,
Present.
James Ellis is not present. Stephen Erman,
Present.
Rod Lozon,
Present.
Justice Martin,
President.
Archie McKee,
Present.
Dave Yando,
Present.
also present Maria Bourgeois, Jeremy Evans, Marcy Gotzmer.
Lay down, lay down.
Entertain a motion to approve the minutes from March 18th, 2020.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes. Rod Lozon.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those are communications, committee reports, treasurer's report.
I don't have any comments related to the CDC budget.
And because there's very limited activity with CDC, the financials reflect from March to September in one report.
Entertain a motion to approve the treasurer's report.
I'll entertain the motion.
Yes,
I'll
Stephen.
second it, Rod.
Let's get this over with. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
On unfinished business? New business is the budget. You say you have no comments on it?
Pretty straightforward. We simply, the expense we have every year is doing the audit.
All right. Entertain a motion to approve the 2021 budget.
I'll make a motion to approve it. Rod Lozon.
Either.
Got Sherry and Rod.
Uh,
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Date of next meeting is to be determined. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll let
I
Rob.
make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.